Hello, I'm Augusta Wind. This is Into the Toad. Going into the Toad is a complicated, life changing, life altering journey into happiness, into peace. It can seem overwhelming and complicated, and when we think about what is actually happening, it's almost too much. What is happiness? How does it come about? What is keeping us from it? And how can this medicine show us the way? And why is it so terrifying? Why is it so difficult? These questions consume me. I don't like to spend much time thinking about anything else. The toad, at its essence, is death. There is there is something about the end of life that teaches us how to live life. Alan Watts talks about this with great alacrity. It's a pleasure to hear him discuss how obsessing over death is not pessimism. It's not morose. It's not dark. It's quite the opposite. When death is acknowledged and accepted, it's never understood. We're not trying to write it all down and understand it and figure it all out and turn it into language. None of that is possible, and I have no interest. That's where I started. That was a natural progression. I no longer have any interest in that. It's something I want to talk about because it's my happiness. It's the adventure of my life, and it's a blessing and a gift, and it's magic. There's no explanation, but there's certain realizations that come, like it is death. That's where the fear comes from. That's why it's difficult. It's in order to let the medicine work, you have to go places you don't want to go. That's how it works. That's why it works. That's why it's medicine. And that's why it's heavy medicine. There's only one heavy medicine. There's a lot of medicines. And there's a resurgence in medicines and in psychedelics, which is a different classification. I think psychedelics are wonderful medicines, and I think they're medicines because they're not easy. So the micro dose, take a little bit to giggle, or such a little amount that you don't feel anything, I don't understand at all. You're bending over backwards to avoid the benefits of the medicine. Yes, it's difficult. It's medicine. It's not a toy. It's not a drug. It's so easy to classify these things once you do them. Only one thing has ever had a resounding positive effect on my life, and it's the toad medicine. And if I would go do it right now, I would become stronger. Things would be more clear. And it's not something you can just, like smoking a joint at home. That's not how it works. It's a ceremony. It's held in reverence. There's a process and a protocol, and it's delivered by, for me, only one person. There's a man who understands it more than anyone else, and he would tell you he doesn't understand it at all. but he knows how to take people in and out. He's been doing it for a long time, and there are thousands, if not tens of thousands, of people who would attest to the positive results if we would track them down and ask them. So what is it? What is this path? What is it providing? What is it showing? It's difficult to say, but I'm going to try anyway. I'm just now leaving the gym, which I'm not one for big workouts. I mostly go for the hydrotherapy. So I'll do a cold plunge and soak in the hot tub and then soak in the steam room. Do that process a few times. Do breath work. All this, do stretching, is designed to get me into a relaxed state. That's always the goal. And I think if we just ignore all the drama and emotions of what's happening with the medicine, it's delivering a relaxed state, an extreme relaxed state, one that I think for most people has never been achieved outside of the medicine. That's how it was for me. That after all the fear and turmoil and whatever occurred, I was left in a relaxed state that changed my life. It was so profound. To be that relaxed is something that I had never achieved in my conscious life. And that's happiness. That's what I continue to pursue. That's why I just put myself through what I put myself through at the gym. That's why I engineer my life to allow space for this relaxation. There's a lot of things you can do to get close to it. As simple as, what time you go to bed, the food that you eat, the job that you do to earn money to survive, the people you associate with, the place in which you live. There are hundreds of choices being made that will either allow for this or prevent this relaxation. And for me, none of my life choices were about that because I didn't know it existed. I thought I knew how to be relaxed. I had done a lot of drugs to create that relaxation. A lot of the strong opiates, that's what they promise and what they deliver. The state of euphoria it's not like an amphetamine or anything like that where you have extra energy and you're inspired and stimulated and things like that. You're just at peace. That's it. But it's tricky with that because what that drug offers, it quickly takes away and you'll never get it again. In fact, you'll be going the opposite direction and you won't even know. You think that this state lives inside of a medicine. And I know I'm saying that the toad brought me here, but hear me out. You think that this state lives inside of something else, anything else, or anyone else, then you're lost. And what's in store for you will be unpleasant as you seek out that relaxation, that relaxed state. If you think it lies anywhere except inside yourself, you're in for and that's a common, there's nothing wrong with difficult paths in life and suffering and unhappiness and the opposite of the relaxed state. That's where people live all the time, entire lives, entire generations, entire bloodlines. There's nothing wrong with it. If you're in that state and you want to get out, then you first need to that it's okay that you're in it. Acceptance. How much of this is you're making? I'll give you a hint. It's 100% you're making. You have created it, the world you're in. No one else has played a role in that. That's a tough one. That's a tough one. And in that relaxed state that the toad provided me, I understood that. I no longer was wrapped up tight with accusations and defensiveness and bitterness and anger. These things went away, and when they did, I understood what they were. Because attaching myself to any of those things would have removed me from that relaxed state. Attaching myself to anything would have removed me from that state. And I knew that intrinsically. As this state is a human thing. It's not that I am some unique individual in any way at all that has some magical powers or abilities or just good fortune. None of that has. That's very far from what's actually happening here. I was introduced to this state through the medicine because that's my destiny, because that's the adventure of my life. That's the way these things unfolded for me. There's only one way my life can unfold, and everybody has their own, and it's unfolding right now the way it's supposed to. There's nothing wrong anywhere. Nothing needs fixed. Nothing ever will need fixed. The force of life does not allow for mistakes. It can't be penetrated with mistakes. It can't be penetrated with evil doing or with greed or with lust. They cannot penetrate what is. Life is happening, and it's perfect. The only difference between obtaining this relaxed state and creating and engineering a life that allows you to maintain it, the only thing in the way is you. You're the blocker. You're preventing this from being appreciated, from being experienced, from just happening. A human will naturally live in this state. We're not that much different from cats. The cat's not hot or cold or starving or under threat. It's chill mode, or it's play mode, and it wants to go murder something and inflict pain on something smaller than itself, without any qualms or guilt. There's the cat mind is like a Zen mind. It's at rest. It has a rest place. It has a default state. And so do we. And that's this place. If there is no direct threats and there's nothing wrong and nothing needs you to interfere with it or for your protection or your survival or an impulse desire, then you live in it. I think a lot of humans over the however long there's been humans have found it and lived in it. I think all the religions point to it. This is the kingdom they're talking about. This is the heaven. This is the peace. This is God. This is the self. This is illumination. This is liberation. This is freedom. This is everything. And when I felt it, I knew that. No one had to tell me, and I didn't have to ask anybody. This is it. Now, it's like everything else, fleeting. So when I first experienced it, it changed me because I knew it was in me, I knew it was possible, and I knew I wanted to return. And all kinds of decisions started being made, that a lot of which I was not privy to in my conscious mind. The actual self began to become active, to regain its position from where it had been removed years and years and years ago by me voluntarily, trying to adapt to this place. Not the natural state of things, but the human machinations, the human constructs. How do I navigate this? What in this? What is everyone else in this? Where do I want to go? What do I want to get? Who do I want to be with? Who do I want to be far away from? This constant barrage of, and it's not one simple construct that you just have to memorize like a maze. It's changing every second of every day with every individual at play. The whole thing is a fluctuation, which is why it's not enough to just become something that can figure out how to survive in that construct. It consumes us. We become the thing that's trying to alert us to what has to happen right now. We're always on edge, always waiting for something to drop. Everybody's tense. We see it now with just so much anger and unhappiness and frustration boiling over without shame. No one is embarrassed to be so angry in this world. That's how far we've come. That's how far off the path we most of us are. So if you're able to touch this place of relaxation, you have to deal with new challenges, one of which will be you don't fit in. You have deviated. All the people around you that are furiously pursuing whatever it is they want in these crowded streets and sidewalks and highways and trains and buses and this just constant torrent of human aggression, none of it matters anymore. You have your own things, but you're not part of that frenzied mob that is dominating human life. You've been removed from it, maybe temporarily, maybe forever. Maybe it's up to you. A lot of the decisions you're going to have to make, if this place has made itself available to you and you decide that's where you want to go, you recognize its power. You're not at the behest of anything else anymore. In fact, there's nowhere you need to look ever again outside of yourself for anything. This realization is, it's all coming from inside, and it's all that I want. I have no patience for spending energy on anything external. It's just getting in the way. It's distracting me from what I want, instead of glimmering and shimmering and alluring me into wanting. Nothing dazzles anymore except the natural world and your own self. Not the self that's the accountant or the Ivy League graduate or the one with the house or the new car or the beautiful spouse. Not that self. the self that is everybody, every single human, every living creature can obtain this place. And it doesn't mean that you no longer, you have deviated from that rush of humanity seeking external validation and stimulation. You've deviated from that, but you're still able to navigate it. Finding enough money to pay your bills, finding a place to sleep. These are relatively simple tasks. There's no other noise inside you. It's amazing how simple some of these things can be when you're clear headed, when you know what you want and you know what you are. And you'll bump into intelligent, successful people and you'll listen to them tell you all these problems and you'll see the solution before they finish the story and you'll know that they can't see it. And try telling them what the solution is and witness the anger, witness the power that the mind has to reject the clarity when it's in that state. That conscious attention, that focus of the mind, that external obsession is blocking out not only this peaceful existence, this happiness, which we're entitled to, and which, by the way, feels so pleasurable. There's nothing comes close. Nothing comes close to feeling good the way this does. Not only is that conscious, focused attention blocking out that place, it's blocking out reality. It's blocking what's actually happening. We have a lot of words to describe mental illness, and there's a lot of terrible experiences being lived. There always is. But a collective grasp of mental illness is, those people who and who struggle and do the wrong things, who don't understand what's really going on. My view on this has changed so drastically. I don't even know what it is anymore, but I do know that there are some people who are classified as mentally ill who see reality more clearly than the doctors prescribing them pills. This acknowledgement that you know what reality is because you align with your neighbors and you all huddle in this big strong group, and as soon as someone deviates you point fingers and throw them out, that behavior is very human. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's human. It exists. But when you start looking internally and all your energy is devoted inwardly, it's a scary phenomenon. This crowd behavior, this acceptance versus rejecting. We all experience it as soon as we get into school. It's in the classroom, it's among the teachers, it's among the bus driver, it's among the cafeteria workers, it's among the coaches, it's among every school classroom that we go to, it's in every society, it's in every environment, every dorm that you're in, every building, every city, everywhere. This is happening, and you're part of it. And if you're like most people, a lot of your anxiety is trying to get better at it. How do I fit in better? How do I get that job? How do I get among those people? That the whole thing drives human behavior. And to realize the whole thing is a fabrication an illusion, it makes you question the definition of mental illness. What are we capable? What is a healthy, clear-headed human? What do they look like? How do they talk? How do they answer questions about themselves? What do they think about the subject of love? What do they think about happiness? What do they think about violence? What do they think about hatred? The happy, healthy human is a mirage today. We have cities full of people playing the role of the happy, healthy human. They have the appropriate clothing and tattoos and lifestyle and zip code, hobbies. The whole thing is fabricated. Some of the hollowest people I have ever encountered are the ones who would listen to what I'm saying, nodding their head and say, yes, he gets it, he gets it, he gets it. They'll never get it. It's okay. It's what we are. It's important to accept what we are, because what we are might not be what you want to be. What you are might not be what you want to be. Some of the most challenging steps on this path to achieving extreme relaxation and happiness involve looking at yourself, and not the self that, you know, the kind of employee you are, if you're physically fit, if you're well spoken, not this stuff. I mean the real stuff. Underneath the language, your actual desires and urges and rage, confusion, embarrassment, guilt, shame, fear. What are you really afraid of? How long can you sit in a quiet, dark room thinking about that without distraction? And how long should you? I would suggest just doing it until something happens. Something internal happens. And it will. There is no prerequisite to anything I'm talking about. This is human condition stuff. It's not about me and it's not about you. It's about us. Which is why it is the most important thing going. Which is why I continue to say it's the only thing that there is. It's the only thing that exists. It's the only thing that's real. It's the truth. And to come out of the medicine with an appreciation of the truth is a big step. It's a big step. It's an empowering sensation that almost instantly turns into shock, because you now know the truth. Exhale, and then inhale, and start to go about your life and carry that with you. Well, none of this other stuff is the truth. And it's super important. People are slaughtering each other every day over whatever it is we're chasing out here. Entire cultures are slaughtered because of the essence of what is being chased externally. And all of those desires, you know, the one that probably does the most damage is power and control And where does that come from? Why does that drive so many people? And not only drives people, but it drives the type of people who seem to never run out of energy or creativity when it comes to inflicting pain. How can they be so good at it? They run pieces of the world, nations, ethnicities, creeds, religions. Millions or even billions of people swear allegiance and they don't even know the person who's chasing the power and the control. They never met them. They're never going to. How does that, where does that come from? It's not a flaw. There's no flaws. There are no flaws. Nothing is wrong. Nothing is fucked here, dude. It's all perfect. So let's face it. Let's accept it. It's scary to let this stuff soak over you and not fight it and not pretend it's not you and not pretend you're above it or better than it or smarter than it or more enlightened or more evolved or whatever. Requires a huge set of balls. There's no faking this. It's not you doing it for 30 minutes and then writing in your notebook that when you do it, you're in it. This is what the medicine does. It takes you into it. And into it is so hard to explain. I can go into the park when the sun is shining and I can crouch down and look at the grass and start to stretch. And my moment turns into it. The beauty, the sensation, the smell, the temperature, the silence. It all evolves into it. I have a different moment. The moment takes over. I'm no longer in control of the moment anymore, which is reality. I'm not in control of any of the moments. That's reality. And to experience it, I think, requires you to die. That's how hard you're holding on to what you are convinced is reality. There is no letting go because someone tells you to. There is no letting go because you smoke a little marijuana and listen to some music. The psychedelics used to just reach bliss and to trip out and things like that. You're not even using the medicine yet. When you start to have this uncontrollable panic attack and you don't know how to make sense of anything and where to go and there's no escape and it's really, really, really happening right now, you're starting to get in to the medicine. You're almost at the front door. Almost. You're going to go through that terror all the way to the other side. So all the things that you're afraid of happening, they're going to happen before you get there. Your worst fears, the reason it's panic, you're going to find out why. The reason why is because of this construct that tells you what reality is that you have created for yourself is not going to survive this if you go all the way in. You can chicken out or you can not do it at all. It still doesn't matter. I know it's heavy because when someone decides to do this, it's heavy. It's real. And these are the people that I connect with. These are, for all intents and purposes, the people I'm connected with on planet Earth are people that understand that journey. I don't have a place to start a conversation anymore for anybody else. And maybe I'm a curmudgeon, maybe I'm an old man. I don't care. I don't waste any time thinking about it. I just know what I like what I like if I'm going to communicate and socialize is talking about this because it's all there is. Everything else you're going to talk about has no interest for me because it's fake. The only person who thinks it's real is you. That house you're going to buy, that's not real. And when you buy it, the bank is letting you live in it. And you're setting yourself up for this impossible expectation that you're always going to have enough money for all these expensive things that you want. That's not life. That's not why we're here, to make sure nothing ever changes and nothing ever goes wrong. You're missing out on the whole thing. And for the people that have all these safety nets and all these people helping them and they never experience that, they never bottom out, that's a shame. That's a real shame. And some of those things might be what you're afraid of. And when you experience them in the medicine, it's not that you have to worry about it. It's going to happen. It's hard to describe what I mean by that, but in the dimension of the medicine, you're not here. You don't have your hands and your eyes and your ears. You don't even really have your mind, although it is where that battle's taking place. If you see someone in the medicine, their eyes may be wide open and they may be making noises, but they're not here. They're not where you are. Where else? And in that place, reality happens. Fear happens. Panic happens. And then it stops happening. It only lasts 20 minutes at most for most people and for beginners and for the people that are, if there's anybody else there witnessing it, that's what they'll see. And a lot of times it's just someone laying down and they look like they may be taking a nap. Some people, like me, flop around in some kind of seizure, spitting mucus everywhere, making awful noises that sound like they're going to die, and experiencing a death that's actually happening. Well, down in Mexico, when I went into the medicine, it grabbed me by the back of the hair and by my ankles, and it started pulling those two areas together, bending me over backwards, and I couldn't stop it, and it was a very real fear. All of them of, oh my God, this is going to hurt. Oh my God, I'm not going to walk again. Oh my God, I'm going to die. Oh my God, it's so painful. Oh my God, I can't stop it. I don't know how long it lasted, but it continued to build and build and build until it snapped. My spine snapped in half. I lived it. I was there. That's how if you're afraid of that, let's find out. What is that fear if it's not something to be tested? Otherwise it's camped out in your psyche, whispering to you. Why would we give it power? It's the hardest thing to break through that. But when you do, the liberation leads you to that relaxed state. There is nothing to fear. I've had realizations coming out. It's never words or messages. It's just something is. You have wisdom now. You've always had it, but you're letting it appear. You're accepting that it's there. You're not listening to any other voice, including your own. Here is what's real. It's been inside you all along. You were born with it. And at some levels, it doesn't only let you know that your fears have no power over you. It lets you know there's nothing in the universe that deserves your fear. Nothing. Especially death. All the other things you will survive or you won't. Who cares? It's still you. They can't touch it. They can't touch you. None of it can. unless you let it. Give up your power. Say, I don't need to be at peace. I don't need to be happy. I want money. I want diamonds. I want gold. I want power. I want girls. I want boys. Whatever. That's you surrendering the power of happiness. If you, it's your virtue. If you hold on to it, it cannot be touched. Nothing can get in the way of it. That's the true power of the self. That's the confidence. That's why the relaxation is allowed to happen. Because you have shown yourself and you believe it's your birthright to be this relaxed. There's nothing that can get to you. And then when you have this, you relax. You let things happen. And then you move around a little bit. Test out this new body that exists without friction. Every muscle feels different. Every joint. This is happening at the cellular level. People come out of the medicine sometimes looking 10 years younger in 20 minutes. I've watched it happen with my own eyes many, many times. That's what our minds are doing to us. The stress, the wrinkles in the face, the nightmares, the tension, the rage, the violence, the alcohol, all the needs, all the desires, all the impulses, all the devouring, consuming. That's where it's coming from. You don't need any of that. And when you have that relaxation and you do that exhale and you sit with this for the first time, life becomes a board game. What move do you want to make? What do you really want out of this? Not what are you supposed to want? Not what have I been working on for 10 years? No. What do you want? And most of the things that I want, I'm not even on the board because I already have them and nobody can take them from me. So that's pretty easy. Now, I do want a house, and I don't want to have to go to the gym for my breath work and my hydrotherapy. I want to do that in my own house. How much money do I need for that? Okay. Well, let's do that then. These decisions and moves made without the turmoil of the emotional breakdown that most people exist on a daily basis. That's what your competition is existing on too, by the way. The moves are easier when there's no noise and there's no allegiance. You're not listening to anybody. You're not even listening to yourself. There's no things start to happen in your life when no decision was made. I've had this happen in my life recently. I've moved from living in a vehicle to living in a regular house. I've gone from being isolated in most parts of my life outside of the toad medicine to being with someone in a connected, loving way I didn't know existed. And the only thing that was preventing this from happening throughout the course of my entire life was me. The whole time. This was all ready for me. The whole universe is trying to give you what you want. You just don't know what you want. You don't even know what you're afraid of. You're not afraid of missing the mortgage payment and having your house foreclosed on. That's not what you're really, really, really afraid of. You're afraid that this whole thing's a house of cards, that you've deluded yourself. You're afraid you don't understand anything that's happening in this world, and no one else does either. And you're afraid that when it ends, you have done nothing to prepare yourself for that. And there's no way to avoid it. It's the only certainty that exists is that you're going to end. And you haven't given it a second thought. You might be the best accountant or investor, broker. Who gives a shit? I mean, really? You think there's power in any of that? No. Unless you give it to them. They dress the right way, they say the right thing, they have the right bank account, and you're okay. That's the guy who wants the power and control, and the billions saying, "Yeah, that's my guy," because you don't know where to. You're so used to people deciding what your power is and telling you what it is that you have lost all hope of finding your own true north. You're completely lost. It's okay. You're allowed to be lost. It's nothing new. I think if we could boil down the average human life from the beginning of time to now, it wouldn't surprise me if the biggest component was people being lost. That might be the biggest, most average life. It's okay. It doesn't matter. I mean, it's going to matter to you. You're living in that unhappy mode, but it doesn't matter to anybody else. Now, maybe it matters to your kids. What have you taught them about life and love and happiness and peace and relaxation? Are they prepared to trust that their true relaxation and peace and joy comes from within them? Do they know that? Well, if you don't, they probably don't. That's okay. Some of us stumble into it anyway. The whole thing just keeps going and going and going. And the Hindus say that there's all these different levels to it, and there's eternal bliss. And, well, it's not eternal. Nothing's eternal. It's bliss, and then there's extreme suffering. There's a spectrum of this diminishing bliss, and you hit all of it. You hit all of it. You can't escape what's coming. But if you're blocking out your access to peace right now, well, you have an option there. Can I be happy with who I am? With what I am? Well, if you start listing the reasons why you're not happy with who you are, how many of them are internal? How many of them actually matter? How many of these external forces, including the FICO credit score and the popularity scale, celebrity status, or whatever people are chasing, how much of that cares about you? How much of that is connected to you in any way? Even if you achieve it, that's the real pitfall, is getting where. That's how it happened for me. I wanted the money after a lifetime of trying to find happiness unsuccessfully, but pursuing it in a way that I understood that there was something I didn't know. But in our world, there's not a lot of patience for that. There's not a lot of tolerance for that. So eventually I was like, oh my gosh, I'm some loser with no money. I got to figure that out. So I figured out the money, and I got there, and I got all the money. All of it, compared to a lot of people, is a drop in the bucket. For me, I didn't have money problems for the first time. And that's when it hit. That's the hollowness right there. You made it. And it's nothing. It's a smoke screen. So there's nothing wrong with pursuing your external obsessions and compulsions and desires. That might work out for you. It might work out for you the way it did for me, which, upon reaching it, led me down a dark, dark path of fear and confusion and terror the likes of which I didn't know existed, which led me to now, which is a volcano of joy. So, is it good? Is it bad? Was it worth it? Like, these concepts mean nothing to me anymore. I accept it. There's no other path for my destiny than what is playing out right now. I don't know what tomorrow has for me. I don't know that there will be one. There never is. I might be awake tomorrow, living in this moment. And things that I want to happen might happen, and things that I don't want to happen might happen, and I will not know if they're good or bad. Bad things can only lead to one thing. Good things. They can't exist by themselves. The light can't exist without the darkness. That is why I feel it's been such a powerful experience for me, was because I went all the way in to the darkness. Now I'm all the way in the light. But the grounds are shifting, always. And it's when you understand what you are, it doesn't really matter. You can accept that. And by the way, if you don't want to accept any of this, and you're creating turmoil and friction and resistance and unhappiness right now. When my father died, I had a very difficult night, maybe 2 nights later after he passed, and just a lot of grief and just a waterfall of sadness and confusion and helplessness. Could I have done better? What does it all mean? What happens now? What should I have really done? What did he want? What did he not want? What was he when I wasn't seeing him as this figure over my life? What else was he? All this stuff pouring over me, and flashes of me not being a good son and not being a good man, and heavy, heavy stuff. And then this phrase hit me: I wish things were different. And I started laughing. I do wish things were different. That's why I'm unhappy. That's why it's difficult. That's why I'm afraid. That's why I'm confused. That's why I feel shame and guilt. And I'm tortured with all this stuff because I wish things were some other way. And it struck me as funny because they're not. They're never going to be. That's not what it's about. It's about me fixing realigning the universe. As if that's a thing. Look around you. Look at the camouflage of animals. Look at the strength and the speed of the animals around us. Look at the strength of the trees. Look at how all the food just comes and gets eaten and devoured, and everything is perfect. You think it's a mess for me to clean up? I thought that, and the society told me that I need to recycle my plastic or the whole world's going to end, and it's my fault. We don't understand what energy is. It's the most basic force that exists. It's everywhere. We don't know what it is. We can't explain it. E equals MC squared. Oh, thanks. Great. A lot of clarity there. Now I get it. E equals MC squared, E being energy. Okay, someone's trying to explain what this energy is. Good, that's where we should be in our society. What the hell is all this? What's going on? Not 10% discount on some shit that no one's ever going to need. And all these distractions and all these, just this constant flood of things I'm supposed to care about. And if I don't, I'm a bad person. Who's deciding this? E equals MC squared, where mass is the M, C is the constant speed of light, which already, the universe is expanding faster than the speed of light right now. So nothing can travel at the speed of light. We've already proven that mathematically, I'm told. If you do get to the speed of light, time down, the whole thing starts to wobble and explode. We don't even know what happens. It just doesn't allow for it. There's no rules for that. It doesn't exist. It's not possible. Unless it's all the matter that exists on the entire universe. That can travel faster than the speed of light. That's okay. We don't know anything. And the more we pretend that we do, the bigger mess we make. The one thing I think I do understand from that famous equation is my mass, I should say. Did I say matter before? I don't know. But mass, my weight, my substance, is energy when you multiply it by the speed of light squared. That's how much energy I am. I mean, how much mass was used to create our atomic bombs? Like a teaspoon of mass, maybe? Less? How much am I? How much energy am I? It's a hard question to answer because we don't know what energy is, but I'll tell you, coming out of the medicine, in that relaxed state, the energy flows. So it's relaxed in that there's no sound, there's nothing happening, there's nowhere to go, there's nothing to do. But you are a raging torrent of capability. You're a reservoir of energy. The numbers, I don't know. I'm not a skinny person. I don't know how much energy I am. But I'm starting to think that formula is right for whatever. It doesn't matter what I think. I'm nobody. But I get it. I can see why that's been adopted because we do know that there is this undercurrent of impossible force in us all, in everything, every living thing. There is nothing that is not part of this, including you. It's all one thing. You're an expression of it in your self, in your beautiful whatever you want it to be. Stand up and sing. That is what your contribution is. And then you're dead. And it's gone. Start to accept that. Because it's coming. I think our science is completely dominated logical thought. And the people that aren't scientists are just saying, well, then I just trust what the scientists say. And maybe that's better than just some guy sitting on a mountaintop telling everybody what to believe. I don't know. Maybe it's better than the guy that has all the weapons and power telling everyone what's right and wrong. Probably. It doesn't matter. The whole thing is irrelevant. But it's interesting that we kind of align ourselves with this theory that there's all this energy everywhere. We don't know what it is. We don't know what to do with it. But it's limitless. Why? What's the point? The hummingbird has to work so fast to live that when it rests, it can't sleep or it'll run out of fuel and die. So it has to go to torpor, which is a next level relaxed state beyond what I'm talking about. The toad itself does this. The toad, Colorado desert toad, the Sonoran desert toad, burrows in the Sonoran desert when the climate is unsurvivable, which is often, and it releases its venom from its glands, and it enters a different state of being, where this medicine lets us achieve extreme relaxation, which provides clarity on what actually is. It's mainlining the stuff. The liquid form, which I had Eric tell me one time when he was first getting into this and harvesting the medicine, he tried to just take the medicine off of the toad in the liquid form. And he was in it for hours and hours and hours, which when you've done the medicine and you know what the 20-minute dose does to a human, it drop your jaw wide open. Like, what was that like? But that's Eric. He is the medicine. I mean, he's been able to remove all of the obstacles to the energy itself. He's strong and healthy and happy. That's what happens. That's the consequences of pursuing this. But he's also a fearless, loving, courageous man who seems to have no problem traveling into these other dimensions. It does not seem to trigger his monkey brain reflex of hold on, this is too scary. And I don't know, maybe he actually goes through everything that the rest of us do, but he has a demeanor that I haven't seen anywhere else. And again, my closest friends, they're all toad people, and some of the toad people got here through the psychedelic route. So the people you've heard stories about who eat an entire sheet of LSD just to see what would happen, or devour 12 grams of mushrooms just to see what's going to occur, these are those people. These are those people. And they don't measure up. We don't know what Eric is. We love him. There's no arrogance. There's no pride. There's no ambition. It's just him, and he helps us. And he brings the medicine. So what's it like for the toad? It can suspend animation for lengths of time. Nobody really, I don't think we know. But I have heard that this suspension of life can be done in the toads to the point that there's no longer a heartbeat. There's no body temperature. There's no respiration. And they're balanced. They're in that. This is a small creature. We have creatures all around us. We have assigned no authority to, no respect for. We haul 1,000-pound marlin out of the ocean or a tuna and chop it up and eat it and make a muscle as we dominate it and kill it, and we're proud and we're superior. Like, I have no problem with any of that, but it's a little silly to not consider the viewpoint of our fellow creatures. Because they don't have the brain and the skull that we have, because they don't walk upright, we think we've outsmarted everybody and we're taking credit for it, even though we just woke up in this body. It's kind of silly. I wonder what the toad experiences in that suspended state. I wonder what level of relaxation, or maybe it's not relaxation. Maybe it's in the medicine, traveling at the speed of light across the universe. And there's nothing relaxing about it at all. I don't know. I don't know anything. And boy, is that a relief. What a relief. The intelligence we attribute to nature, I think is where science should be pointing its energy right now. What is this place? What are we? Anything outside of that, it seems secondary. I read a study about a study. I go around reading scientific studies, but I've read about a study that was done in a forest where there's a tree and a certain type of caterpillar. And when this caterpillar, which they would call, I guess, like an invasive species or as if whatever, but this caterpillar would come and devour the trees. And they were conducting tests, and they found out that the trees next to the tree that was getting eaten by the caterpillar were generating a chemical response to that event. And they didn't know how the neighboring trees knew that the caterpillar was in that tree. So they did a bunch of studies, and at one point they recorded the sound of this caterpillar eating the leaves of the tree with very delicate microphones. And then they played that sound in a forest where there were no caterpillars. And all those trees in that forest produced the chemical reaction to fight off the caterpillar. What trees listening with? How is this happening? There's magic around us all the time. That's the only thing that is happening is magic. It's another reason why it's difficult to accept this beauty and this peace and this love and this joy and this perfection. We think we have a role to play. We think if we do it wrong, we're making a mistake. We think there's dire consequences. There's never any consequences. There are no high stakes. You're just alive. That's it. And you're among a phantasmagoric circus of creative, powerful, dangerous energy. If you're a baby bunny rabbit in the mountains, do you know what's hunting you? Look at the power in a raptor or an owl. And owls have all the power of the raptor's fist that they fly in silence at night. It seems overkill if you're hunting a little bunny, but it's not. That's the balance. That's what's required because the bunnies have powers of their own. There's a belief that it's the brain that gives us all our power, and the wrinkles in the brain, the folds in the brain determine our intellect, and that's why the whales, all these animals have bigger brains than us. That's why we rule them out. Well, no, it's a different kind of brain. We're so quick to diminish everything around us because we're terrified of it. We don't understand any of it, and we're afraid everyone's going to find out. And if I'm the guy going after the power and the control, the last thing I can permit is for anyone to think, I don't know what's going on. That's not allowed. That can never happen. Or it breaks the illusion. And that creates this web from society to society, from conquer to conquer, from city to city, religion to religion. It never goes away. There's always some asshole who wants all the power. That never changes. In fact, there's a whole string of them, and they're always knocking each other off, but they're setting the stage. And the people who just don't want to be bothered and just want to relax and have a good time and live their life, I think a lot of them know what I'm talking about. And you see this in a lot of underdeveloped countries where, yeah, they still have to do their slave labor to survive, and those goalposts are always changing what they have to do and how much things cost and who the boss is and what they're supposed to say they believe and all. But most of their time is at home with their loved ones, and they know life is good. It's us super predators, apex, whatever, alpha, what it is, nonsensical ideologies that you have some kind of power. It's silly. The power you have is to achieve extreme relaxation with the knowledge that there's nowhere to go and there's nothing to do, and that nothing can harm you, ever. You may have pain, you may have disease, you may die. That's okay. That's what's happened. That's what this is. That's all this is. Start from there. Move backwards. Okay, now that you know that, what are you going to do with it? What is fun to you? What is rewarding? What's enjoyable? Who do you think needs your help? There's nowhere to go. There's nothing to do. And there never will be. And the toad medicine brings to us familiarity, or at least a glimpse of what's real, of what's true. And it's awe inspiring. Just a can shake you free of the delusions that are robbing you of all the peace and happiness that belongs to you. There's nothing in the way of happiness right now except you. The world isn't set up to have you try to compete in this circus and get all these coins and get that house and run that business. And that's not what's going on here. It should be obvious. My God. As soon as you get into that, it's all hollow. You know, it's the people that succeed in it are not people you want to follow. I mean, come on. You know in your heart what true power is and what true joy is. And it's this offering of relaxation that seals the deal, because we cannot help ourselves from enjoying physical pleasure. It's how we propagate. And that's usually the most extreme pleasure that us humans get to experience. But there's something else. There's something beyond even that. This quiet confidence, this comfort with being alive, floating along this frenzy of slings and arrows everywhere. Of course. Why not? It's going to end. It doesn't matter if it's a painful end, a drawn-out end, a quick end, a young end, an old end. What's the difference? It's all the end. We all are having that end. What is your end going to be? That's what we should be obsessing over. That should be our compulsion. Everything else will fall into place because it's an internal you don't take advantage of anybody else. You don't need anybody else. This is on you. That's the reason that this is the scariest trip there is. You're going to walk up that hill and take the medicine, and Eric's going to be there, but he's staying here. You're going in yourself, alone, to a place you don't know what it is. You'll never know what it is, but you'll come to accept it, and that changes everything.